How are the facilities doing? How's the gate? How are the kennels? What's the general rundown of everything here?
Yeah, so we're feeling much better today about the situation overall. We managed to get our gate fixed really quickly yesterday morning. Thankfully, our access control company responded really quickly when we called them. That's already been replaced. And then we also added an additional layer to that starting yesterday with a chain around the gate so that that's a little bit more difficult to get through than it was before. Kennels are all good. Dogs are recovering. A lot of our dogs, our dogs are very resilient. So, most of them bounce back pretty quickly. We are nursing some injuries on, maybe half a dozen or so of those dogs. Various, superficial wounds, some a little bit more serious, but thankfully the majority of our dogs are very healthy and bouncing back pretty quickly. So we're very happy about that. Our staff is still in a little bit of shock, obviously. It's kind of something that, is technically possible, but you don't think anyone will actually ever do. So our staff is, feeling very emotional, a little bit raw still. But overall, I think we're bouncing back and just moving forward and focusing on the animals in our care.
How scary is a situation like this? If something happens like that overnight. Anything could have happened with the kennels open. Obviously, the dogs got out, and it could have been a lot worse. How scary is it when something like this happens?
It's definitely very scary. Your mind starts to go to all the what ifs. Thankfully, we did have a few dogs get off campus. Thankfully, none of them made it all the way to the road. We're very close to Cesar Chavez. It would have been very easy for a dog to get in a really dangerous situation quickly. Most of the dogs that did get off campus, they kind of stayed in the park area and eventually made their way back to the facility. A few were found by our staff members a little ways down the road. So for the most part, the dogs stayed close, but it's really scary to think about, how far in that amount of hours, how far they really could have gotten away from us, who could have ended up on the road, who could have ended up on the freeway. So it's hard to not have your mind go to all of those what ifs. What if a person had been here and tried to confront him? How could that have gone? There's just a lot of ways that it could have gone much, much, much worse. Obviously, the outcome, for the dog that passed away was not good, but a lot of the sentiment in the staff is that it could have been much worse. So.
But how has the community rally support been? We posted this story in several different fashions on our Facebook, and everyone has been so positive. What have you all heard? Have people been showing up, wanting to just adopt more dogs, just to be supportive, or what?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of the support online. People commenting on all the various channels, posts. We've seen, Austin Animal Center made a post dedicated to it that we really appreciate. A lot of our partner shelters, personal contacts that have heard about it have reached out to everyone who works here, just expressing their condolences and checking on the people, making sure that everyone is feeling okay. So we've definitely felt the community rally around it. Most people understanding that this was a really horrific incident and that we just don't know what was behind it, why this person would choose to do that. Most people questioning that, what was the motive, and we just really, I don't know that we'll ever know that, but yeah, it's been really great. APD was on top of it. They had 3 different teams out here yesterday already trying to collect evidence and figure out, how we might be able to find the person that did this. So it's been really great. And we have seen still, we had a volunteer take home one of the injured dogs to foster him so that he could recover in a home instead of in the shelter. And so that's the kind of support that we'd really be looking for at this point is, people that want to help even just for a few days, get one of these dogs out of here, give them a little bit of a decompression period outside of the shelter and maybe hopefully speed up some recovery.
My last question, Stephanie. I know it's been a busy month. You all have been, taking in the strays and some of the dogs from the July 4th flood that weekend. That on top of this, with what happened, how much of a toll does that take on you when you've got so many things to handle at once? This is just another thing on that plate.
Yeah, it's definitely been a very busy month and a half. The staff is definitely feeling tired, and but everyone here is really resilient. APA as an organization is very resilient, and the community support is really what gets us through. So, our staff was here first thing in the morning as soon as everybody found out what happened. They were here and just ready to work and find all the dogs and try to get things back to normal as quickly as we could. And that's really what APA does, is we just keep focusing on, the animals that are in our care, the animals that do still need us. And so, yes, it's hard. And, everyone that does this work knows that it's hard. And so, and we just, the teams are really rallying together, all different levels, all different teams across the organization working together to just make sure that we can kind of move on as productively as possible. So, yeah, it's been really great.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I would just say that if people want to know how they can help, fostering is always essential to APA's mission. We have animals of all shapes and sizes, and that could just use a couple days in a home, even if not, a longer term stay. So, and volunteers. We can always use more volunteers. We have volunteers embedded at every level, every program of our organization, and many of them came out yesterday to help as well, and we're always looking for more support in that way from the community as well.
Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and get the latest news by downloading the CBS Austin News app.